Okay, you guys, as promised, I am back to do this video. I did not change or nothing. I didn't even move from this seat. All I did was go get my little notebook that has my notes in it that I was keeping and journaling throughout my progress. And that was it, because I knew if I moved, I would get caught up in other things, and then this video would never happen. Today is February 2nd, so on February 7th will be 1 year, 1 month. Okay, so this video is about my bariatric surgery, VSG in particular, because that's what I received, which is vertical sleeve gastrectomy. And so if you are interested in hearing about my journey, my progress, and all of that good stuff, then keep watching. Okay, so VSG. I did get VSG January 7th, 2017. Why did I choose surgery? I had been struggling with my weight since I was a senior in high school. I was not an overweight child. I was not even an overweight teen. And I can contribute that now after looking back through my life and also what happened to me as a senior in high school. I can contribute that to me being active. I was very active in my younger years. So anyway, I was a lot more active. I was always walking. I was always outside. I was always somewhere. I was always moving. I learned though, once I moved to Maryland and getting on a bus that picks you up and drops you at the door, that all of my movement stopped. But I was just always moving. Okay, and I was with people, hanging around people who were always moving. So of course, that when you're out with your friends and they're always moving and walking and stuff, you're going to be doing the same thing. That's when I learned about my body. My body has to move. If my body isn't moving, it's only going to do so much with diet alone. And that's, like I said, what I learned even in adulthood, that, I can diet all day. Yes, I'll lose weight. I did Atkins. I did HCG. I did so many different things over the course of the last 20 years that I remember my prom dress was a size 20. And at that time, there was no Forever 21s and Torrids and all of the, there wasn't even a Forever 21. So certainly was no Forever 21 Plus, and there was no Torrid. There was no, all of these boutiques and all of these stores that cater to plus size women, plus size juniors, like people who are still young and want to actually dress like in trend. There was none of that. As you can imagine, it was very hard and depressing being a teenager during that time. So I've always just been up and down with my weight, losing weight and then not being able to keep it off. Then I learned later in my later years of adulthood that I had PCOS, which was like, okay, great. I don't want to blame PCOS for the weight, but it does make it harder to deal with your weight. After years of research, I was like, maybe I was always back and forth about bariatric surgery. And in the beginning, when I first considered it, I was about, I was like, I don't know about that gastric bypass. People come out of there, they finish, they look sick, and they look just like, I think it was Al Roker who had gotten it, the news guy, and he just was looking all sickly. And then somebody else had gotten it, Star Jones, I think is her name. And I just was like, I don't want to be bothered with that. And then they came up with the lap band, and so I got, interested in looking at the lap band and all that. And I don't know, I kind of gave up on the bariatric surgery until a couple of years ago when I started looking into it again and found out about VSG. Okay. So if you don't know what VSG is, it's basically where they take 70 to 80% of your stomach and cut it completely out. None of that. They just literally are cutting your stomach down in size, so you cannot consume but so much. I could not afford to pay $20-something thousand for the surgery out of pocket. So I started watching YouTube, and YouTube, everybody was doing, I was seeing, people's recovery processes and everything from YouTube. And then I came across, what's her name? I can't remember her name, but I know it has turtle in it, and if I find it, I will post it. I watched her video, and she was talking about her going to get her VSG in Mexico, and the first thing I thought was, are you crazy? Who goes to Mexico and gets surgery? Like, what is wrong with you people? Like I'm thinking all the type of thinking that everybody, does think, like I said, when they're ignorant of the facts and ignorant of what's really going on. I'm like, are you crazy? I don't want my intestines gone. I don't want to die over there and this, that, and the other, right? So then I started reading more, researching more, looking on blogs, vlogs, on websites, people's, all kinds of things, and trying to understand what is going on in Mexico. Because then all of a sudden, after I watched her video, I started seeing a lot of videos about people going to Mexico. And so I understood why people were going to Mexico. And so I was like, okay, I get it now. So then it became, okay, well, if I have to pay out of pocket for it, then that's really my best option because it's not expensive. Then it was, where do I go? What doctor or surgeon do I use? What facility? This, that, and the other. And so the surgeon I chose was Dr. Carlos Altamirano Cano in Tijuana, Mexico. I chose like 3 different places at first. A lot of them were the more common ones that you hear about and that people use. And I chose not to use them because I didn't like the process. I didn't like that you're dealing with all of these people, these coordinators, and all of this and that. With my doctor, you deal with him personally. He doesn't have a coordinator. One-on-one. You do your consultation with him. You do your setting up your appointment with him. All your questions and everything are answered with him. He's with you from the beginning, the middle. To this day, I still communicate with him. He does Facebook Live it used to be Sundays, I think it's Saturdays now. He does Facebook Live where he does Q&As, he does topic discussions, he answers questions, he has a package he sends you, he wants your lab results when you get your labs. He has Facebook, like I said, he does the Facebook Live. He has an actual group that all of his patients are in, or potential patients, and even people who are not his patients are in that group because they get better attention and more response and more advice from him and his groups than their own surgeons. They can't even get their own surgeons on the phones half the time. He will talk to your doctor if your doctor has questions or concerns. If there's something wrong, then he will contact the doctor. If you have to go to the emergency room for any reason, he will talk to them. He will deal with them and everything. He has YouTube. He has a website. I mean, he is constantly involved, constantly. You're not dealing with the middle person. You're not dealing with all these random people. Like, you're dealing with him, and he is awesome. He's a young guy, very experienced. He's just amazing. So I will put his information below if you're interested in just trying to find out any more about him. But he's amazing. He has an Instagram. He's amazing. So I ended up going there. The surgery, price wise, it was $4,400, and then I paid an extra $800 to get my gallbladder removed. The gallbladder removal, he will not just remove your gallbladder because you want him and you're paying him to remove your gallbladder. He doesn't do that. He told me, all right, you paid me to remove this gallbladder, but if I go in there and I don't see a reason for it to be removed, I'm just going to give you your money back. It's not that type of, that's what I love about him too, is that you can go to some of these places and they're going to take your money because you're giving it to them. They're going to do whatever you tell them to do. He's like, look, you don't just remove organs for the sake of removing them, So he's like, if it does nothing for me to remove it, if there's no reason or no cause, I know you want to do it for preventative measures, but if it's no cause for it, I'm not removing it. But I will try to show a picture of it to you guys that I did get mine removed, and you will see why I got mine removed. And this was like, unbeknownst to me that I had this going on in my body. Total, I paid what, $5,200 with the removal of the gallbladder, and that included my transportation to and from the airport. It included my hotel stay and my hospital stay and all my medications, and so good deal. Okay, so that's why I chose Mexico, and so I gave you kind of all the information about that. Now, another thing I will try to include in this video somewhere in the description box is where you can go to find out information on different bariatric surgeries and which would be best for you. Again, I did research for over a year. I joined his Facebook group, I think 6 months before I even scheduled my surgery, because I wanted just to get information, constant information, be fed constantly about what I was getting into. So I did thorough research before I chose the surgery, before I chose my doctor, everything. Okay. Now, I'm going to do a separate video, and that's only if it's like requested for me to do it. Otherwise, I don't even think I am. And that's going to just be about my whole experience in Mexico and how that whole process went. My recovery was flawless. So question, if I would ever go back and redo it, if the opportunity, came and I had to go back in time, would I do the surgery? I'm trying to check my time. Would I redo the surgery again, the same way, the same doctor, the same everything? Yes, my surgery was flawless. And that is another reason why I chose the surgeon that I chose, because he had a success rate, like the people, listening to the people that he, in the group, which is another reason why I joined the group ahead of time, as well as a few other groups I joined. His rates of people going in and having the surgery without complications was very high. My freaking surgery was flawless. I had no leaks. I had never been hospitalized. I've never had to go to the hospital for dehydration. I didn't have any issues with leaks. I didn't have any issues with anything. I haven't vomited, not once. I've gotten nauseous, of course, but I have not vomited one time. I haven't had any problems at all. My incisions, no issues with those getting infected or anything like that. Like, I've had zero problems, zero. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys my stats. I guess I should have did this first. My stats. Prior to surgery, my highest weight, which was recorded in November of 2016. So November 2016 was 306 pounds and something. 306. And then I had to do a 7-day pre-op diet. So when I started that 7-day pre-op diet on January 1st, I was at 299.8. Okay, so I was 299.8. On the day of surgery, I was 289.8. So when they weighed me in, when I got to the hospital, I was 289.8. So I had lost exactly 10 pounds on the 7-day pre-op diet. I was in a size 22 women's, 3X top. I had high blood pressure. So I was on medication for that. I have PCOS, so I was on medication for that. I took prescription drugs for anxiety and depression. I took, I had acid reflux and gastritis. Issues with my knees and stuff. Like, I couldn't stand for long periods of time without my back hurting. I would get out of breath really, really easy. Even just with talking, I would get out of breath. Like, it would be like I would just run out of breath to even finish a sentence or something. So those were all my pre-existing conditions. Currently, to date, which is, like I said, February 2nd, 2018, got my surgery on January 7th, 2017. So as of today, I am 193 pounds. I am in a size 10, 12. My chest, I was in a 44 triple D. And now I'm in a 40 double D. So I did go down a cup size. I'm top heavy anyway. I've always been top heavy. It runs in my family, so that's not something that I don't anticipate that going anywhere. I don't see my boobs getting down to a C or anything without getting a reduction. So that's the sizes that I'm in. I no longer take prescriptions for blood pressure. My blood pressure is normal. It's normal. So my blood pressure is normal. Don't have to take medications for that. I don't run out of breath anymore. I haven't had any issues with my gastritis or with my acid reflux, so I don't take medications for those anymore. I do not take anxiety and depression medication anymore. Basically, I'm not on any medications. Vitamins I am on, that's really the only thing I take, and I do my vitamins with the Patch MD, infamous Patch MD vitamin patches, and so I take those. I use those. Still don't eat carbs, really. I don't take in sugar, as far as like real sugar. So I still am kind of watching that. I don't want to start taking in carbs or introducing carbs back into my diet, like breads and rices and things like that, until I get to my goal weight, because I just feel like it's going to slow me down, and I just want to utilize this time as best I can, because usually within your first year to year and a half, that's your prime time for getting the most weight off. My goal weight is 175. With my gallbladder gone, I do take a supplement when I eat certain foods that are high in fat and things like that, because you don't have a gallbladder anymore. Your gallbladder is what processes the excess fats and things. So without one, you know, you have a harder time. So I take like an enzyme supplement to assist with that. Cosmetic surgeries. Oh, I haven't exercised at all. Okay, so all this weight loss and everything that's been happening to me has been happening to me due to the sleeve, not from exercise. I don't exercise. I just don't exercise. There is no excuse. I don't exercise. I don't exercise. I should exercise. I need to exercise. It'll help. It helps with your muscle tone and the sagginess and all of that. But I just don't exercise. I'm sorry. I want to start exercising, especially with weights and things, doing something where I can incorporate weights, because I definitely need to tone and get some strength. Like, I feel like I'm very weak. I'm very weak. My daughter's 14 and she can like throw me across this room because I'm so weak. So I definitely need to exercise. Yeah. And I'm not a scale dependent person. Throughout my journey, I've gotten on the scale only on my surgery date. Yes, but I was not all about the scale, and I was not all about comparing myself to other people. Here is the secret. If you're going to get the surgery, or even if you're trying to lose weight naturally, whatever the case may be, don't compare yourself to somebody else, especially if they're nothing like you. Well, first of all, the bigger you are, the more you're going to lose in the least amount of time. Meaning, that person lost 100 pounds in 3 months, but they were 400 pounds. I wasn't 400 pounds. So, you know, and then of course, after they lost that initial 100, they started to slow down a lot. And so, that's the thing. You want to find people who their stats are similar to yours. So either they're the same starting weight and the same height. Height makes a difference as well, because somebody is shorter than you, they can look bigger than you, but they really weigh less than you because it's just that they're short, you know? So, because the crazy thing about this thing is that you never know what kind of loser you're going to be. You could be a slow loser, or you could be a quick loser. You could be on your average, you know, that's the thing. But, you know, don't go comparing, because your body is your body, and so it's going to do its own thing. Your recovery is going to be your own experience, and as well as your journey is going to be your own experience. So that's the biggest tip I can give is, if you're going to compare, if you just got to compare, find somebody whose stats are similar to yours. But again, you don't know what your body is going to do until you get into the situation, because you can think, oh yeah, I'm gonna lose 90 pounds in 90 days, and that is not your situation. And then you'll be feeling defeated, or you're feeling discouraged. You'll feel like you're not losing quick enough, and all of this and that, which is, you know, that's why I said I did not document a lot of my journey, because I just didn't want to keep putting myself in that headspace. I wanted to stay very focused on Jessica. So yeah, so that's that, you know, that's where I'm at. And that's all I care about. I just want to be healthy, and I want to feel good. I don't want to have to worry about struggling and stressing over clothes and finding clothes, and I don't want to have to be worrying and stressing over how I feel, feeling gross, feeling overweight, not liking myself in pictures, not wanting to do things, not wanting to go places because of how I look. And that was my life for years and years and years and years. I do plan on getting a cosmetic surgery done. The only cosmetic surgery that I want to get is, like I told you guys, a reduction and a lift on my breast, and I want to get a BBL. Now, here's my thing with the BBL. I'm not interested by far in looking like a lot of people that, you know, are following that trend of, you know, the Dominican doll and the Dominican Barbie and the plastic off the assembly line Barbie manufactured look. I'm not interested in that. And that's the zero waist with the huge hips and the huge butt and all of that. Like, I don't want that. I want to look just proportioned. I want to look clean, a nice clean cut with some curves. That's it. I'm not looking to have this waist this big or anything like that. I want to just look like I need to look, like have the cut and the shape that I'm interested in, because with losing the weight that I've lost my shape. I've lost my butt. I have no butt. If you are a watcher of King of the Hill, okay, there is a character on King of the Hill, Hank Hill, okay, the main character. He has no ass, okay? And there is, if you Google Hank Hill's butt, you'll see he has no butt. But literally, like, that's how I look now, because I lost my butt. Like, what butt I had is gone. Like, it's just sagged. Like, it's just sitting there. Like, it's sagged to the bottom. Like, I literally have to, like, lift it up like a piece of dough. Like, I have to just, like, lift it up with my hand. There is no butt there anymore. But nothing, like, animated. I don't want to look animated and like I said, I'm not interested in looking like I came off of an assembly line. I don't want to look like everybody else, you know. Yeah, that's really it. If you guys have any other questions of things that I didn't cover, or you want me to go into a little bit more detail about, then please leave me a comment and I will get on that. I know I didn't get into my recovery process that well in regards to like what I ate and how all of that went. I can do that if you like. Just let me know. I can get more into my pre-op requirements. I can get more into, like I said, my whole experience as far as my travel to Mexico, and to the whole process there and what it was like going there and dealing with that. Mental part, oh my God, the mental part, you guys, I think that's another part I'm going to talk about too. The mental game on this whole situation is ridiculous, because in the beginning, you know, they say, oh, you don't have an appetite, you don't want food, No, of course you don't. But after like your first few months, like 3 to 6 months, you're like back to yourself. Your brain is like, when you're hungry, you're hungry. When you haven't eaten and you let yourself get to that starving point, you're going to want so much more than your stomach physically, literally can take. But your brain isn't seeing that. Your brain is saying, look, I want some of that. 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 So it is a mental game that I still struggle with after a year post-op. I still struggle with, you can't eat all that and you can't have that. So yeah, I still struggle with that even to this day. I'm still who I am. I still like sweets. So I try to find ways to incorporate some type of a sweet in my diet. They call them bariatric junk food. So yeah, I can get into that in a different video as well. I'll see you guys. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and my Instagram is not closed. It is an open Instagram. So if you want to go on there and see my stats and see updates on pictures and things like that, you can go in there and see without following me. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh yeah, I need to get my followers up and all of that like that. So if you like the content that you see when you go in there and see it, and you want updates and you want to keep, you know, following me through my journey, then it is right there available to you. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.